My name is Shannon O'Hurley, and my pronouns are she, her. And I am so excited to be home. I'm so excited to be home. I have just returned from my yearly solo retreat time. This is not the kind of like rest on the beach vacation. It's a very different time for me. For those of you who know me, you know that sacred travel, when I go to ancient holy places, fills my cup and renews my spirit like nothing else. I learn so much that I then get very excited to bring back to you, which I'll be doing over the course of the next few weeks. This last journey took me mainly through Italy to sacred sites and cathedrals and quiet chapels and what the Irish call the thin places, where the veil between this world and the next feels so thin that it demands the deepest listening and stillness. And I got the opportunity to do that. And each day I visited 2, often 3 of these sacred places where I would go in and I would light candles and I would sit and I would pray for a long time. And I would listen deeply for a long time. And one day I was down in the Cinque Terre region of Italy, if you know it. And I was on my way to one of these holy places when I realized that I was on the wrong train. Anybody? And so all my plans got rearranged. And thank God for this teaching because, at first it was panic. I had no idea where I was going. I was on one of those trains that did not have the list of, I don't know. At one point I was like, am I going to go to France? I don't know what's happening. But thank goodness for this teaching, because right after that little momentary, I remembered to take a breath and realized, Spirit is up to something here on my behalf. So I'm just going to get really curious and see what happens. And so what ended up happening is the train actually ended up stopping at this small little town, still in the Cinque Terre, which that was great, that I hadn't actually planned to visit, called Corniglia, or as I was told, Cornelia. And knowing clearly there was something there for me, I stepped off the train, ready to see what awaited me. And if you've been to the Cinque Terre, you know that each of these, there's like 5 different villages, and they're all on the side of a cliff, sort of, where the sea is at the bottom, and these beautiful villages are up there, and there's these ancient churches, and what used to be pagan temples and churches were built on top of them, and Roman, it's extraordinary, the history there. And I hadn't planned on going to Corniglia because it sits at the very, very top of the mountain. It's hard to get to. But there I was. So I got off the train, and there's only 2 ways to get to the actual town. By shuttle, which winds its way up the mountain, or by a massive staircase called the Largerina. And when I got off the train, the shuttle line was just really, really long. And there were a lot of people in line that seemed sort of irritated. And I thought, I don't think that's really what I want today. It was also really hot. There was no shade, not good for this redhead. So I thought, I'll take the stairs. How hard can it be? Oh, my friends, it is 33 flights of stairs straight up the mountain. I got my steps in and then some. And then some. And as it happens, I actually navigate some old injuries that can make a climb like that, not always, but often, it can make it tricky for me. It can be a little hard on my knees and my back. Going down the steps or down a mountain is not hard at all, but going up can be tricky for me. But that's another story. So I was like, I'm fine. I started climbing, piece of cake. I was like, this is not going to be any issue at all. Until my knees began to crunch and pop, and then my back chimed in, and the sun was beating down, and I realized that my water bottle was empty. And around the 20th flight of stairs, I began to naturally wonder if I should turn around and just go back. That's what it looked like about halfway up, just to give you a sense of a beautiful and not easy, just not easy, not impossible by any means, but there it is, there I was. And, I was pretty uncomfortable, to put it mildly. I was pretty uncomfortable, but discomfort isn't a reason to quit, as Rev Shelley so brilliantly reminded us last week or the week before. I watched both of those talks, so they're all kind of both in my mind and in my heart and in my being. And I thought of you. I was like, okay, all right. This is just discomfort. And for me, so you know, I knew that as soon as I got to the top, the discomfort would end. It's only when I'm like on the climb that it's a little ouchy. Okay. And so in that moment, realizing that this was an opportunity for me, this was an invitation for me to continue up that staircase and to be incredibly mindful as I did it. And I was like, oh, Spirit, that's what we're working on today. All right, okay. So my call in that moment was to stay very present with each step, to stay very present, to breathe through what I was feeling, to stay with it, knowing that as Spirit always does, Spirit was going to meet me exactly where I was in that moment. And of course, that's what happened. When I looked up at all those stairs ahead of me, it seemed for a moment, I remember looking up and thinking, how am I going to, ouch, that's impossible. How am I going to do this? But when I kept my attention on just the step I was on, and then the next step, and the next, breathing through each one, calling on my angels and remembering Spirit is my inner strength, I eventually made it to the top. And to my surprise, I felt stronger than when I began. I felt stronger than when I began. I don't know, John, if you have that other image of me. There I am. Thank you, you're so sweet. So I'm not a selfie-taking person, to put it mildly, if you know me, but I was like, I am going to document this. And you know that moment when you finally let go and you let love. Our theme for October is let go and let love. When you finally let go and remember that you're surrounded by love, as soon as I did that, I could feel that love. I could feel that love was moving right along with me up each step. And right there on those stairs, before I reached the very top, I thought of us. I thought of all of us in this beautiful spiritual family as I climbed. I thought about our lives and our world and our collective journey and how each one of us here and online, wherever you may be watching or listening from, that we've all incarnated at this time in human history to have this collective experience together. Another one of the places, the sacred places that I got to go to was Assisi. And I'm going to be talking about that next week and my experience there, and along with this idea of change and how we navigate change through the spiritual lens. St. Francis of Assisi said, "Start by doing what is necessary, then do what is possible, and suddenly you're doing the impossible." Start by doing what is necessary, then by doing what is possible, and suddenly you are doing the impossible. Each of us has our own version of the Larderina, the long staircase before us. Maybe for you, it's the uncertainty of that thing in your life. Or it might be the relationship you're trying to heal, or the diagnosis, or the forgiveness of yourself or others, as Rev Shelley so beautifully taught. Maybe for you, that staircase is grief, or it's releasing anger, or it's staying strong in the face of the challenge you may be experiencing. Maybe for you, it's about releasing an addiction or a habit that's no longer serving you, or perhaps it's feeling the collective heartbreak in the world right now. So the question becomes, are you on a particular step in your own life right now? And what is that for you? Maybe you're just standing there looking up at the steps in front of you, the contemplation stage. Or maybe you just started the path forward, or perhaps you're somewhere in the middle, waffling a little bit. Maybe you're tired, weary, or even considering turning around, going back down because continuing forward feels like it's just too much. Or maybe you simply want to sit right down on those steps and take a very long nap. Anybody? Oh, I can so relate to that. Been there a gazillion times. But here's the thing. Rest is good. It's okay to rest. Rest is holy. But my friends, there are lots of people who made it halfway up whatever mountain they were climbing instead of being with the discomfort, remembering that it is temporary, and consciously allowing it to roll through them. They stopped on a particularly annoying step and decided to just take a quick nap, but the problem is that nap has lasted a decade. Or 2. Or 3. Plenty of well-meaning folks have camped out on that same step for so long, it has become their new address. They've plopped down, pitched a tent, and now they just wave politely at the others passing by. And here's the wild part. Most don't realize they're still asleep. They don't realize that they're still napping on that step. Can you relate? Yeah, me too. Is there an area of your life where you can lovingly, and I mean lovingly and compassionately say, yep, I definitely sat down and pitched a tent right there. Sure enough, yes. And as Ernest Holmes said, awareness is curative. Awareness is curative, so please be gentle with yourself here. Because the thing is, as much as we would like to skip steps, there is no elevator on this particular path. There just isn't. Wouldn't that be nice? I mean, come on. We can put people on the moon, the whole AI thing. Can't we just get an elevator for the hard stuff? No. Now, I want to take a moment and I want to provide a clear distinction around this conversation. And that is that we gather together here at NTCSL not only for the loving, supportive community, but in particular for our own spiritual growth. We talk about this. We do our own work so that we can then walk it out into the world to help make the world a better place. Not to be confused with the whole self-improvement culture or mindset. NTCSL is not a self-help or optimize your life space. The world has plenty of that. We are a spiritual community, a place to remember that you are never separate from God's spirit love, whatever word you're comfortable with, and that you already carry divine strength within you. So the steps I'm talking about today are not about somehow fixing yourself. That is an incredibly toxic and self-defeating narrative. You are magnificent exactly the way you are right now, full stop. Full stop. Full stop. What we are about here in our spiritual community is about each one of us awakening to the truth of who we inherently already are. In this safe, inclusive space, we take conscious steps towards greater peace and deeper connection and joy that is not dependent on our circumstances or what we look like or what we do for a living. Blah, blah, blah. That is not the important stuff here. The self-help movement would like to have you think differently, wouldn't it? But that's not why we are here. We are here for our spiritual evolvement, evolution, and growth. The spiritual principle that I'm talking about today, the one that in particular I want to bring to us and all of you in our beloved spiritual growth circles, I invite you to talk about this spiritual principle this week if you want to continue this conversation or downstairs, is fortitude. I gave this a lot of thought because my first instinct thinking about the stairs was, well, that spiritual principle is strength. That's strength. Now, the spiritual principle of strength is the steady power of spirit moving through us, for sure. And that is needed, and that is important. And fortitude adds another dimension that is so important for the moment that we are living through right now. And that is moral strength. Moral strength in the face of difficulty. The word fortitude comes from the Latin fortis, meaning strong or brave, but it carries with it the sense of spiritual endurance. Isn't that beautiful? Spiritual endurance. Fortitude was described by the 13th century philosopher and theologian Thomas Aquinas as the virtue that keeps us true to the good even amid challenge. The true meaning of fortitude is moral courage. And so fortitude feels especially fitting here. It is strength infused with trust and the loving presence of God or Spirit as unshakable steadiness within our soul. The divine holding firm through us moment by holy moment. Ancient Hindu wisdom from the Bhagavad Gita teaches, no effort on the path of love is ever lost, and no obstacle can ever stop it. No effort on the path of love is ever lost, and no obstacle can ever stop it. About 2/3 of the way up those Italian stairs, I thought about home, Oregon, and how our state was just at that moment in the headlines with all the talk of troops potentially deploying here. And it was not lost on me that our country, too, is halfway up a great staircase. Tired, but determined. Moving through discomfort. Thirsty for sanity. And uncertain what waits above. And yet, we are all here. We are still showing up. We are still loving, doing what we can, step by step, as you sang so beautifully, Darcy. Step by step, right here in our beloved NTCSL community, as we do all we can to protect democracy, to support immigrants and our undocumented siblings, to stand with our LGBTQIA+ family, praying that the current peace deal in Palestine holds, and that peace prevails in Ukraine and the Congo and in our own American streets and everywhere it is needed. All of this is sacred work. It is prayer in motion, and all of it happens moment by holy moment, step by step. So if you happen to find in your own life right now that you are on step 2 or step 202, and you are noticing that your knees have started to complain, I invite you to take a deep breath, to ask for support, and remember that love journeys with you. Always. Always. We forget. But love is always journeying with you. Speaking of support, right here in our spiritual community, we do everything humanly possible to provide you with what you might need along your journey. This coming Wednesday, October 15th, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, I'm beginning one of my favorite classes to teach, Beyond Limits. It's a 6-week online journey that offers personal and powerful tools to help you wherever you may be on your path. And I want you to know that with everything, with all of our classes, we have need-based scholarships, so do not let that be a hindrance in any way, shape, or form for you. And in just 2 weeks, on October 25th, I'll be facilitating an all-day in-person retreat. It's the first of its kind here, the Petite Retreat. Isn't that cute? The Petite Retreat. And it too is designed to meet you exactly where you are. And it's going to be a rich and restorative and healing day, a time of reflection and contemplation and spiritual growth. And also need-based scholarships are available. So please join me, join us in that. You have this community, and right now, community is everything. There is genuine support for you here. Please know that, and please remember that as we all move through this time together. And as we talk about this sort of idea this week of taking steps, one breath at a time, holy steps, it's important to remember that many of those steps happen out in the world together. Yes, we do our own inner work, but we're also taking steps out in the world together. You know, just a couple of days ago, I saw a woman online from Chicago, an ordinary neighbor, and she was sharing how her community is responding to the recent acts of violence and cruelty and fear there in Chicago. And she said in this Instagram post that after, you may have heard this on the news, after a mother was taken by ICE while picking up her child from school, something extraordinary began to unfold in her neighborhood. People, everyday folks who had never been activists before, some have never voted before. People just started showing up. Neighbors, she said, of all walks of life began standing together to protect the most vulnerable among them. That is who we are. That is the truth of our soul, of who we are. She said that when word goes out that ICE has appeared in a particular neighborhood, within moments, the streets fill with people filming and witnessing and linking arms, standing for love. And at the end of her video, she said something that stayed with me. And I think I played it, I don't even know, maybe 5 times, and I wrote it down. She said, "They're trying to divide us, but what they don't realize is it's bringing us together. It's making us stronger." That, beloveds, is fortitude made visible. That is moral courage. And it reminds me that we are never alone. We're never on this path alone. There is strength and there is joy in our numbers. And our numbers are enormous. Don't forget that. Please don't forget that. From 1 Corinthians or 1 Corinthians chapter 16, it says, "Be strong, stand firm in faith. Let all that you do be done in love." Be strong, stand firm in faith. Let all that you do be done in love. What a great reminder for certain people who call themselves Christians. Do everything in love. I want to again personally invite you to be a part of an incredible opportunity to stand, to witness, and to celebrate what happens when love refuses to back down. So I mentioned this before, and I want to say it again. This Saturday, October 18th, Rev Shelley and I joyfully invite you to join us in putting that love into motion at the No Kings March. Yeah. Yes. Organizers believe that this is going to be the largest coordinated demonstration in American history. And we will be there joyfully and purposefully, love made visible, wearing our new long sleeve shirts. As you can see, we're the walking advertisements for them for the fall and winter. We have them on sale. We don't have a lot of them, so if you want one, please grab it. And it's there for you, so you will be toasty and supported in the march together. We'll be meeting, as we always do, on all these marches that we do together at Voodoo Donuts, because why not? 22 Southwest 3rd Avenue. You'll hear more about it when we do our announcements. And as always, we'll carpool. Just email. If you want to carpool, please email office@newthoughtcsl.org, and we will arrange that, or you can meet us there at noon. And you just know that you're going to be surrounded by good-hearted, peace-centered people. It's family-friendly, it's doggy-friendly, it's safe, it's soul-filled, it's filled with light and a lot of joy. And those of you who are not local, please just Google No Kings March. There are a gazillion of them being planned right now in your area. And for our international community members, first, I want to say thank you to you. While I was in Europe, I met a lot of people on my travels, on the trains, going from place to place. We would strike up a conversation, and they would ask me where I'm from. And while sometimes I wanted to say Canada, I'm clergy, so I can't do that. Darn, Shell, darn. No, I'm teasing. The moment I told them I was from the United States, every single time, there was not one exception. In a taxi, on a train, the person who worked in the church, and I was looking for the section where there's the Divine Mother, whatever it was, they would ask me, where are you from? And I would say the United States, and every single time there was an immediate, instantaneous softening in their face, and their eyes softened, and it created this opportunity for me to connect with them, for us to connect. And I would say to them, because it was just this moment that was wanting to be filled with something. And so my response was always the same. And it was, it's hard for us right now. And every single time, every person I encountered said, we are all with you. We are all watching. We are together. You are not alone in this. The world is watching. Keep marching. Keep standing up for your democracy. You're a beacon for the world. I mean, the love that I experienced, I cannot begin to tell you. And then I started doing some research, and I found that there have been marches. There have been international marches on behalf of us. And there are no King's Marches scheduled internationally on October 18th. So for you, beloved international community members, I invite you to join us, find a march or light a candle on Saturday, October 18th. What a reminder that we are not alone. We're not individually alone on the staircase, and we are not collectively alone on the staircase. That love I felt, it was like global living prayer. Everyone, everywhere, rooting for our collective awakening and healing. This is such a beautiful way for us to connect on an evolutionary scale. Because what I'm telling you is that what's happening right now in our country is such an opportunity for us to collectively usher in the light, to remember why we incarnated here together, to be strong. So, this week, I invite you to do what is yours to do, whatever step you may find yourself on. If you need support, we are here for you. If you are feeling discomfort, trust that it is temporary. You will get to the top. You will. It will be healed, the thing, whatever that is for you. Know that we are not alone in this, ever, ever. My friends, each one of us has the fortitude, the moral courage to continue moving forward and upward amidst all of it, step by holy step. We will rise together.